Welcome to another Superior Health Wednesday, where a couple of times a month throughout the year we talk with Jim LaJoy, who's with us this morning, Executive Director of Superior Health Foundation, about how they're addressing needs by supporting health-centered nonprofits, providing grant funding, support, and just being good community partners. So, Jim, good morning. How are you?
Good. Doing well. Thanks, Ben.
Good. And we've got another guest with us this morning, Eric Conradson, Courage Incorporated. Thank you for being here.
Oh, we appreciate the opportunity.
So before we get into all the relationship of all this, Eric, if you want to kind of start us off this morning, talk to us about, for folks that aren't familiar or just need a refresher, what is Courage Incorporated? How did you all get started?
Sure. So Courage Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based here in Marquette County, and we serve people from all over the place, but we're a 501c3, and our core mission is to help physically disabled individuals get out into the wilderness, get out in the woods, get on the water, and participate in outdoor recreational activities that might not otherwise be possible for them. And the key point for us is that we try to make sure that it's free of charge for all of our participants. So that way it's accessible and something they can truly dive into and enjoy.
And why is that mission so important? Why is it important to get people that have different abilities out into nature and experiencing these things?
One of the things that we realized before Courage Incorporated was ever even a thing, just through some conversation amongst friends, was that the disabled community or the differently abled community does not have the same access that some other people do have. And so when we started thinking about just the area where we all grew up and that we love, right? The great UP, where we have all this wonderful wilderness access and all these beautiful lakes and rivers and streams, not everybody gets a chance to see that, and not everybody gets a chance to participate in that due to the condition that they may be living with. And so we thought it was very important to take that underrepresented outdoor population and help them reintegrate and experience some of those things. Some people for the very first time, and other people maybe reconnecting them after they've lost the ability to get out on their own.
And we'll get into what some of the reactions have been like in a little bit. Before we get to that, you've had a long-standing relationship with Jim and Superior Health Foundation. If you both could kind of talk about how that relationship developed and what that's looked like over the past 5+ years.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I can kind of start this off. So how we became aware of Courage Incorporated was way back in 2018. And I found out the type of work that they did, and I encouraged them to apply to be a partner with us for our annual golf outing. So we selected them back in 2018, and at that outing, we awarded them more than $5,400 to help with their projects. But what really attracted us to Courage Incorporated is everything that they do, their mission aligns perfectly with Superior Health Foundation. Obviously, we have a vested interest in those who have disabilities, but you add in the veterans aspect and getting out into the wilderness and being able to provide these folks with an opportunity to experience the fresh air, the camaraderie of being around other folks. And, that's uplifting. And that was tremendously important for us. So I think that the golf outing kind of served as a catalyst and kind of a springboard to get that organization really moving. And since then, we've provided, an additional $5,000 plus to help them with a trailer, help them with equipment, a used boat, and we're encouraging them to apply again for this grant cycle coming up in the fall. But this organization holds a special place with Superior Health Foundation, and personally, they have a special place in my heart for the work that they do.
And
yeah, if I can just kind of piggyback off of what Jim was saying there. When we first kind of got introduced with the Superior Health Foundation, it was through that golf outing. which really got the wheels turning for our organization, because that outing alone gave us the opportunity to shake hands with people in the community that we weren't familiar with. And it also provided us with an influx of cash that got our organization moving in terms of necessary equipment that we needed to be able to conduct our trips. And so from that point forward, and with all of the other generous grants that we've received from them, we've been able to continuously upgrade our equipment. We've been able to continually move our mission forward in an effort to continue to provide these adventures for people.
Yeah. And one of the things with Superior Health Foundation that we've talked with Jim about you before is that you don't want these to be, when you award grants, they are not a one and done situation. So you're building these relationships with folks so that you're making the process as easy as possible so that they can come back, and that it is designed to provide continued support and help organizations not only start, but then grow from there.
Absolutely. And Eric and this organization, they always have equipment needs, and they're expanding and they're doing different adventures. And I think it's important that we stay on top of it and we look at what their needs are and address those needs. Being able to be in a position to help them with the types of equipment that we've mentioned, I think it's just awesome. And I've always encouraged Eric to apply for additional funding as they expand. And I know they have those types of needs.
So Eric, what are the next needs? Where are you growing to next that you might need that support that as this organization grows for you?
Yeah, so just given the nature of what we do and where we go, our needs are constant in terms of equipment upgrades. We're always on every adventure assessing, how that trip went for the clients that we serve, and was there something we could do to improve? So whether that's tents that are more accessible without trip hazards, or whether that's making sure we've got a boat that folks can get in and out of easily. Our wheels are always turning to make our trips safer, more efficient, and just a satisfactory experience or a memorable experience for people. So equipment upgrades and safety upgrades are always something we need help with.
Okay. So looking at that, what has the grant application process been like for other people, organizations that are thinking, I might qualify for this? How would you encourage them or direct them to have that conversation and get started with this process?
If that's a question for me, the easiest way to answer that is simply reach out. So Jim is so helpful in our day-to-day conversations. When I reach out to him, he's always got an answer or somebody he can point me to. The Superior Health Foundation in general, their grant process is not very complicated. It's all done online. It's really just clear cut, step by step. You provide the information they request, and they let you know right where you stand in the process and if they need more information. But they're always striving to help. And so the one thing I've noticed is the ease of it, but also just the fact that if they do need something, it's because they want to help us. And so they're requesting more information so they can give us the best that they can give us.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty glowing recommendation there. So I think it's great that you've been able to, Jim, foster this relationship and provide avenues for people like Eric and Courage Incorporated to get their to get things together and keep moving forward with their mission. And that was one thing you talked about, Jim, earlier, was not only just like that getting out into nature, but the camaraderie of it. And maybe Eric, you could talk about that, like what you've seen of the nature impact, or part of that is important, but the solidarity, the camaraderie, what is that like for folks when they're out there on these trips?
Yeah, so gosh, I mean, this well is very deep. We could spend a ton of time talking about this, but some of the things that we've just noticed at the very beginning is how quickly people are able to find a sense of peace or calm as soon as they get out into nature. So whether that's sitting by a campfire, whether that's, just floating around in a kayak or in a canoe, there's a sense of peace that comes over people as they reconnect to the outdoors. And that's just incredible to see. We keep our events fairly intimate, only a few people at a time, because it's not always comfortable to be introduced to a whole lot of people all at once. There's some anxiety that goes with that. And so we do our best to make sure that it's a calming experience right from the get-go by providing great communication and letting people know exactly what to expect and who to expect to be there. And as soon as we all get together, we shake hands, we make some introductions for those who aren't familiar. And right away, people settle in and there's a comfort level that just kind of forms naturally. We don't force anybody to participate in something they don't want to, whether that's a specific activity or to share information about themselves. We find that if you sit by a campfire, a lot of times that stuff just happens naturally. And we've seen some lifelong friendships form around our campfire from people who didn't know each other when they came in on a weekend, 3-4 years ago, and now they're really good friends today, making fishing trips together. And that is just incredible to see happen organically, and know that we were kind of a spark that lit that flame.
Yeah, and that's incredible to hear, and hopefully people are encouraged by that to either, I don't know if you look for volunteers or if there are other ways to support what you're doing, and maybe both of you could talk about how to direct donations and continue to support the work that you're doing so that more of our neighbors, our folks around us can experience this.
Well, one thing that
I always try to encourage everybody to first learn a little bit about us, right? So our website, courageincorporated.org, provides a great amount of information. We always post pictures and videos of all of our trips. And that's something that I think is it's more helpful for people to actually see what an experience is like with us versus hear about us say, hey, we can take you out to this place, that place, and this is what you can expect. But when they can physically watch a video of somebody in a action track chair motoring across a beach to get to a fishing spot, or somebody with a prosthetic leg who's navigating some of the wilderness on their own, that provides a level of thought for them that lets them think, boy, this really might be a trip for me. I think I could probably do this. It's not as daunting when you have a visual to help you experience or know what you might experience.
And what I would add to this discussion is that certainly Superior Health Foundation is here for those types of grant funding to help with equipment. But what we always encourage, through our golf outing and through other various means, is that if this organization means something to you, consider doing a charitable gift. They have a process right online where you can give a gift to Courage Incorporated, and maybe it's in honor of a veteran that maybe it's in memory of someone that who had a disability. Those types of things go a long way, and grants are one part of that stool, to provide them funding. But the charitable gifts and the volunteers are also an important aspect, not only for Courage Incorporated, but for a number of other smaller nonprofits that don't necessarily have those big budgets.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of different things today, and hopefully given people a little bit better perspective on both organizations, how you all work together. Is there anything that I've missed in our conversation that we want to make sure to let people know about and to just give them even more perspective?
I think one thing that I would just add is I'm going to go back to what Eric was talking about, and just the simplicity of a campfire. I own a camp, and I get out to my camp, and it is the highlight of my weekend. Just sitting by a campfire and unplugging. And I think what Courage Incorporated does is they unplug from the madness and from some of the stressors that are going on in our world. And you can kind of let your hair down and just be among friends and be among positive, like-minded people. And that ability to do that out in nature, in the beauty of the Upper Peninsula, you just can't underscore that enough, how important that is. And I would just say that we've seen the evolution and the growth of this organization over the last 4 years. And, from where I sit, I always am so proud of organizations that have made, those steps and are doing such positive things for the region. And Courage Incorporated certainly checks all those boxes.
Absolutely. Eric, any
Yeah.
final thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I always like to just kind of hammer home is we are a Marquette County based nonprofit organization, but our mission doesn't have boundaries. If people can get to us, we're always willing to help. And so that's open to both civilian and veterans who have physical disabilities. We do our best to make sure that we can accommodate anybody from anywhere in an effort to provide them an experience that will hopefully change their life.
Perfect. I think that's a good note to leave things on. Eric, thank you for being with us today. And Jim, we'll see you for our next conversation as we continue to share what you all are doing and how you're supporting nonprofits in the UP. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Again.